Hello, everybody. We
Hey.
should be live now. Just making sure. Okay. All right. We're live. Cool. I got YouTube on the other. So welcome, everybody, to TGIK. It's the 30th of July today. And so, hey, KRK4 and Ibrahim. And so thanks everybody for rolling in and showing up. I know a lot of people are busy, especially in the Kubernetes world right now because of the whole the releases. Everybody's cutting their releases right now, right? So I'm Jay, and Ricardo's here with me today, and let's get started. So first, I guess we'll start with the week in review, right? This is out of order on my yeah, that's out of order on my I think, Ricardo, you just might have gone on mute. Is that correct? Just confirming.
Yeah. I put on mute.
Wanted to make sure I didn't lose your audio. Okay, cool. Yeah. So we can review. Carvel. Okay, so we got a package. So we have a oh, and by the way, for folks that just joined, we're doing CNI code surf today. So we're going to go through Calico, we're going to go through Antrea, and we're going to possibly look at kuberouter. That's, I guess, Ricardo's favorite. And I don't know, we're going to look at a few different CNIs, look at how their code is structured and stuff like that. That's kind of the topic for today. So I think it'll be really cool because I a lot of this stuff I haven't really dove super deep into either. So for especially like the Antrea code base is kind of new to me. Anyway, so okay, so let's start. We can sort of look at the news for the week. We've got Cap Controller, and we've got a Carvel package manager that's now come out, right? So, so if those of you who haven't used Cap Controller, it allows you to like build essentially it allows you to build like an operator for free. So you can like you can use this tool called KApp, which is part of the Carvel family, to like, you know, sort of build an application, and it'll embed inside of your application a bunch of stuff so that you can like reference all the things you made, secrets, config maps, whatever they are, as like one, deal with them as one unit, you know, make sure there are, you know, the pods and deployments and everything else. But then Cap Controller allows you to sort of deal with that entire unit as like almost like an operator, and do, you know, atomic operations on it. It manages it for you. So it kind of like a canned operator thing. And so now they've got this whole, so they're talking, you know, so this gives us this concept of package management and all that. So that's kind of one of the big, there's a lot of stuff going on with Carvel, and I've been using it more and more recently for things. So these are the other tools in that ecosystem. So if you're having headaches managing, you know, your applications in Kubernetes, and you don't want to deal with the headache of building an operator and all that, I really like these tools. Contour 18.0. Let's see. Okay. This is the latest Contour release. External name service changes. Kubernetes services that external name will not be processed by Contour without active action by Contour's operator. Okay, so I guess that's a CVE. So they got a CVE fix, and then more implementation of the gateway stuff. So the gateway is like the new API that replaces ingress, and so I'm not an ingress expert, but actually Ricardo is a maintainer of Nginx ingress, and he's here with us today. So I don't know, what's the status of ingress on the Nginx front, Ricardo, as far as them implementing gateways?
We didn't start it yet.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm gonna please, Jay. I'm gonna tell about that later.
Okay. Yeah. So, okay. So yeah, y'all better get to work, because Contour is a little ahead of the game, it looks like. So they've got a bunch of implementation. They're up to date with the gateway stuff, and so if you want to play with what the next generation of Ingress is going to look like, then check out Contour. And if you want to help Nginx get over the line so they can sort of fast forward to the future, then just reach out to Ricardo. He can help you get involved there. So okay, I am excited about this one. We have iptables support merged into kpng. You also might have remembered this from a few episodes ago. Me and Mikhail and stuff showed some of the kpng stuff off. It's the next generation kube proxy alternative where you only have one thing in the center that's talking front end, talking to the API server, and then you've got all these alternate backends. And so we now have several backends in here. We have iptables, which and we have, so iptables was just finished. Vivek did a ton of work on this, especially the dual stack and IPv6 stuff to help me get this finished, and so that's really cool. And we have IPVS, that was Ricardo did the first implementation of that, and we have, of course, the NFT, which is the canonical implementation made by Mikhail. So next up is Windows. So once we have Windows, we'll have basically all the functionality of kube proxy, not all of it, but very close to the core functionality of it, all ported to this new framework that's scalable and all that to the nth degree, and super configurable and super pluggable. So we're excited about that. Now, what else we got? Nginx. You want to tell us about that, Ricardo?
Yeah, but first, folks are complaining that the notes, they are not up to date. So if you can send them the notes, the tgik.io/notes, it's not working, I guess.
Oh, it's the wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
See, folks, cool. I was reading the chat.
tgik.io/notes.
Yeah. So while Jay updates the hackmd thing, I'm gonna tell you about Ingress in Nginx, which I am really excited because we are releasing it in version 1. We are gonna drop support for Ingress objects previous to version 1, so version 1 beta 1 is gonna be dropped. This means that you have a breaking change. So Kubernetes versions less than 119, they are not gonna work anymore. So please be aware, folks. And also some things they change about Ingress class and other stuff. So we plan to make some migration documents as well. Also, the other one, where is the notes, Jay?
Linkerd. I put it back. I updated the old doc to have my notes now. So
okay.
Yeah.
So about Linkerd, so Linkerd is now graduated by that's a graduated CNCF project, which is really cool. Now we have Kubernetes, Prometheus, Linkerd. I can't remember right now the other ones, but we are getting like a really cool GA environment ecosystem, cloud native ecosystem as well. And from my perspective, even like we like Istio as well, and we use it, but I guess Linkerd is really simple compared to Istio, right, Jay? So,
I remember I got it up and running in like 5 minutes. I went to their thing at KubeCon and it was super easy, and they have this super easy app that you can and it does everything. Yeah,
exactly. So if you are interested in taking a look into Service Mesh, I guess it's a good idea to take a look into Linkerd. Now that's also graduated. And the last one is for folks willing to contribute with Kubernetes. So the application for release team shadow is open. So if you always wanted to contribute with Kubernetes in some way, but you don't know how, or you think like, yeah, I don't think I have enough Go or something, or some language knowledge, that's a good way to start. Also applying to as a release team shadow, because you are gonna get a lot of contact with a lot of folks from the organization, a lot of SIGs, a lot of special interest groups, and you are gonna learn a lot. So some folks they actually say that joining as a release team shadow is one of the best way to learn a lot of Kubernetes and a lot of Kubernetes development as well. And I guess that's all.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, and you don't need Go to work on Kube at this point. There's so much stuff that needs to be done. Just figuring stuff out and testing stuff is like the huge thing. It's like we just need people running it and testing it, and there's so many features. There's just no way we can cover everything. So, like, if you just find something and you start playing with it, you'll probably find a bug, and you'll probably be able to help from that front, right? And oftentimes, a bug winds up just being fixing a parameter or fixing a log message or something like that. So yeah,
doing some issue triage as well, right?
Triage, yeah. Cool. So okay, so now we're gonna sort of jump. I guess we could just jump in. So we've got we can start. So we're gonna start digging into CNIs. So I want to say hi to everybody though. So because I know a lot of people were chiming in. So Khalid, Iban, Fully Geared Bear, everybody, thanks for coming. Walid, CNJ, Morteza, Hosseini. Yeah, Friedrich's here. My favorite. Okay. Friedrich helps me out a lot. Okay. Walid.
You can't have favorites, Jay.
Juka, Phil. Yeah. You're all everybody's my favorite. But I know it's late for Friedrich, so I was just really excited that he came. So okay. Let me see here. So yeah. I just kind of started diagramming some stuff, but I think we should just start from scratch because we just started looking at some stuff. So does anybody want to vote here? Like, what do you want to see first? Do you want to see Calico? Do you want to see Antrea before we dig into stuff? Or do you want to just jump into some other CNI? And I think that we're kind of flexible here, right? So, but I can't, I don't know. Like the only two ones that I really know at all are Calico and Antrea. So I can't guarantee that we'll be able to help much.
Increase the
font size. Yes. Yeah. And on the diagram too. Yeah. Maybe for the diagram, I just need to draw bigger, right? But yeah, I'll just wait a minute for some people to vote on what CNI they want to jump into first. Cillium. Okay, that's a good idea. Ricardo, you know the Cillium code base a little, right?
No, no? but you can try. I am like I really don't know nothing about ebpf and other stuff, so yeah. this might be like fun as well. We can.
Okay, so we've got votes for Calico, and then we've got votes for Cillium, and so yeah, we can definitely try, right? The NSXT plugin, yeah, sorry, like that's not an open source. Even though I work for VMware, we're all about open source on TGIK, so we can't really dig into the NSXT one, I guess. Well, unless there's a GitHub repo for it. Okay, Weaveworks. So Weaveworks. Is that still actively developed?
I took a look into their code last time, but I can't remember. Let me take a look again. WaveNet, right?
Yeah. WaveNet. All right. So let's at least do a quick 5-minute look at Cillium because I know Calico is going to be long, and I know Antrea's. We're going to dig into that too. Let's at least take a look at it and see what we can find over there. So if we go to Cillium on GitHub, if we go to, the first question is, the first thing with all these CNIs is like Antrea is one repository, Calico is like 10 repositories, and so what is Cillium? Is it all one? Like if we go to Project Cillium, let's see what we find here. So for those that don't know, Cillium is so I'll just take some notes. ebpf. So Cillium is an ebpf CNI, and so what that means is you have your node, and your node's sitting here, and then you have like a container inside of the node, and in these normal CNIs, we like plug an Ethernet cable from basically a virtual Ethernet cable from the node into the from the node into the container, right? And so this is kind of happening like at the kernel level, and like I guess here's my machine, let's say, but I guess in Cilium world, like how would you draw this diagram, Ricardo? What is it? Is it like you have a thing that's like further out so you don't hit the kernel and you plug the container into that? Is that kind of the idea? I don't know. Like, is that? I think so. I don't know. Like, we
Yeah,
could.
yeah. So I think that from Cilium, the model is you create the network namespace, and you plug maybe that thing with TC, right? TC traffic control, the command line. So you plug an ebpf program into that interface, and it starts making that filter. But
Yeah, this is
yeah,
it, right? So like, so it's kind of like, I think it's kind of like, yeah. So wait, let me see here if I can see there's a little latency. I'm monitoring the YouTube stream on the other one, so I'm trying to get a feel for it. But yeah, okay. So the container here is here, and then you have rather than the traffic going and being processed directly at the kernel before it hits the kernel, like your BPF program runs and can route traffic into and out of the container. Is that pretty accurate? I think so.
yeah. I think that actually you hit the kernel, but you don't hit the iptables net filter stack, right?
Okay. Yeah, so in this one, okay, so there's this whole other part of the kernel here, and like maybe, like sort of there's like a bunch of stuff. Let me go back to my scribble. There's a bunch of stuff. Here, and like in between here and here, rather than like going through this whole thing and then rather than going through all this stuff, you somehow like jump around all that, and I don't know, you go straight there, right? So I guess that's the ebpf code path, I guess. And then so if we were to go into Cilium, the code base, we have Cilium client, we have Hubble. Then they've got some ebpf, some slides and stuff. Then they've got their here's their kube proxy implementation.
That's
right?
a Envoy. That's another.
Oh no, that's on. Okay.
Layer 7. Yeah.
Oh, this is a load balancer. Okay, so they've got an external load balancer here.
It's the actually that's the same. I guess Antrea have something as well, and Calico. That's when you create like a layer 7 network policy, instead of sending that to ebpf, you have like an Envoy sidecar that does that filtering. So you can create a network policy with saying, hey, you are allowed to get or put into this HTTP endpoint, and that Envoy proxy filter things.
Okay. So let me see if I can. Oopsie, get pods -a. What do we have on here? I think we just got a Calico cluster up and running. A meme who I don't know if a meme is here, but a meme added. Yeah, a meme is here. I'll add him to the stream. A meme added. What's up, a meme? So you added Cilium support into this repository. So I have this repository here, K8 as prototypes, where I put random recipes for stuff. So if you go into here and you go to kind, K8s prototype /kind, we have some like we have this Calico recipe. Like you could just run this and it'll spin up a cluster with Calico in it. But then we also have, if you want to run Antrea, you can run that. And I don't know, a meme. Did you ever test your implementation of Cilium on this? Because maybe we can just.
Yeah, we can try to run with Cillium in the
Okay.
cluster.
So let's delete cluster -- name equals Calico. I want to get rid of this because last time kind delete, and we'll try Cilium. Antrea. Okay. And now let's see if it works. If this doesn't work, it's a meme's fault. So, okay, here we go. Cillium. All right, let's see what happens. What, what was that?
One L only, Jay.
Oh, okay. We need some error handling, I guess, in here.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. All right, so can everybody see this, or is it too small still? I'm making it bigger. Okay. So anyway, so yeah, you can just use this script. You can clone it down. I updated the hackmd, so feel free to use it.
Okay. So Ibrahim is asking you to increase your font size.
Yeah, let's make it bigger. Okay, let's make it bigger. Yeah. Okay. So, and I think I can. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So, yeah, that's big. So, Ibrahim, thanks for that. What's up, friend Celio? Friend Celio, Alex. It threw an ebpf error already. We didn't have what? So I don't know. I'm assuming because in Calico we can already start to look at different CNIs because in Calico I know for a fact that we do some weird thing. I remember this. If we go to source, we go in here in Calico, we do something related to disabling some of the I think we disabled the ebpf configuration when we installed it. So I'm wondering, and that's because we're running in kind, because there's like some little Calico thing you have to do where you have to about where it is. Maybe it's in I forgot. I thought we had to disable some Calico, some EBP, like disable ePBF or disable some other thing like that. There's some settings that. Oh no, it's Fiend. No, it wasn't. It was XDP. Sorry, we have to disable XDP because it doesn't use ebpf by default in Calico. So it looks like, but our cluster.
I think we're missing Helm here.
Oh, we're missing. So you need Helm to install Cillium. Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
What is it? Can I just brew? I can't brew install Helm. I need Helm 3 or just Helm 2, just the client?
Helm 3.
Okay, so if I install Helm, okay, I haven't used Helm in a while. Because I just use YTT for everything nowadays. I just don't even remember how to use Helm anymore. Okay. There we go. Get Helm. But I've heard that Helm 3 is really cool. I've heard that it's real modular and fast and easy to use. And so let's see. Okay, Helm is on there. Yeah, it's on. Okay, so now let's try again. Okay, we'll delete it and we'll try to reinstall it from scratch. What's the difference between XD? What is XDP? I don't really know what XDP is.
XDP is a part of ebpf, actually, that you deal with the packages in an earlier model. So you have ebpf using XDP. You attach an XDP program directly in the network, and you have using TC. So XDP is a subset of ebpf. Okay,
so it's a subset of the API of EPF of the API that you program against, or of the functionality that EPF uses.
Yeah. So as far as I remember, you might have like ebpf programs as XDP, so you attach them directly in your network device, or you may have with TC. With traffic control, which you attach in your network device as well, but that's a later step. So XDP is a really early step, but maybe Thomas Graf is the best person to.
Where's Thomas Graf? Does he come to TGI K? I don't know
I
Thomas.
I
You're
don't
friends
think
with him,
so.
right?
I need to. We can ping him on Slack later.
Yeah. Why don't we ask him to show up and tell us how this stuff works on the
Yeah.
next? Okay, yeah. So on the next article, we'll call it, okay. On the next article, he said he'd cover. This is a blog post by Diego Pino Garcia. Okay. Fast XDP design of XDP has its roots in a DDoS attack mitigation solution. So I guess XDP, yeah, it's built on top. Okay. So there's XDP hook and then ebpf and then XDP action. So every network function, no matter how complex it is, consists of firewall, NAT, tunneling. Okay. XDP passes our packets to our ebpf program, which decides what to do with them. We can then read them. Okay. So it somehow sits on top of.
I wrote about something in the past, but I can't remember what I wrote.
Okay.
So the link, I'm gonna send you the link on the private chat, and there are some diagrams as well. But I guess that's better. Like if folks wanna learn a bit of ebpf and XDP as well.
Motivations. Okay. XDP provides checkpoints within the kernel's networking stack. An ebpf program can hook into XDP events to perform an operation on a packet. Oh, okay. So XDP is something that ebpf uses. So ebpf is sort of hooking into XDP and and then making certain decisions on what happens and what doesn't happen. And I guess, okay. So now let's see if our Cillium cluster came up. Okay, kubectl get pods -a. Well, we did get our Cillium nodes up. So as far as if Cillium's anything like Calico, the fact that our Cillium nodes came up is a good sign. It means we probably can schedule pods, right? So the first thing to sort of look at, right, to know whether your CNI is up or not is you look at core DNS, right? For folks that are kind of new to some of this, right? Because Me Too tried that in Cilium doc. They put a Minikube set up and not mentioned kind. Alex Alton says he tried installing Cilium on kind and he threw an ebpf error. I have a feeling, Alex, we are getting the same error here, but I'm interested in knowing why it is that the nodes are up, because I would assume that if the nodes are the things that would need the ebpf functionality, right? So if I go kubectl logs on that Cilium node, startup, it's saying startup succeeded. Okay. So it seems like it's happy. And then it prints out this, and here's the link information. So do we see anything special here? I mean, it looks a lot like Calico or Antrea to me. I see a tunnel 0, and I see an Ethernet device ETH0, and I see a loopback. So I guess my first question is, can we from this tell that it's Cillium and it's not some other type of CNI? Is there a signature in these logs that we can, like, if we were aliens from outer space trying to figure out what kind of networking technology this civilization used, would we be able to guess that it's ebpf they're using right now? I don't think so. It just looks like any other CNI. But I don't know. So okay. So the node came up fine. Now let's see what was wrong. kubectl get pod. And of course, this is totally all on us. Like we just are playing around with Cillium. We've never done this before. And so if there's errors here, it's not Cillium's fault. It's our fault. I don't see an error here either.
There is an error that you need kernel for the last line. You need a kernel 4.17.
Okay, so I need a newer kernel, and this is an older machine. So kernel 4.17. So there's our first show notes. We needed kernel 4.17. Okay, so show notes. Okay, so we have the diagram. Cillium Okay, kernel 4.17. So then I could see like what kernel do I have on here? Cat, etc. What do I do? OS release? Does that kill me? That doesn't tell me. What is it? Uname?
Your name. This is a
Cache?
really old machine. Yeah.
415? Is it that old? Is it that bad?
You are using Ubuntu 18.04, which is like from 2018.
Okay.
Before pandemics, Jay.
Oh man. Okay. All right. So I'm using so don't try to run Cilium on on an old Ubuntu machine, even if you're in kind, because it's kernel that you're running on actually matters. So there's lesson number 1. And that's because this XDP ebpf stuff is like new stuff that's just recently been added to the kernel. And for folks wondering why like not everybody uses Cilium or not everybody uses ebpf, because I think Calico has ebpf functionality in it also, and that's why, right? Because it's not in every kernel yet. All right, cool. So let me switch gears. How long have we been doing Cilium? We've been playing with Cilium for about 20 minutes, and I don't want to nosedive into it because there's 2 other we want to cover, at least Calico. And I'll probably look at, well, I don't know, we can look at Weave too. And we can, we may have time to dig into Weave, but let's look at Calico and maybe jump into Antrea a little bit also, but let's look at Calico first. It seems like that's what folks wanted the most. So here it is. So yeah, there we go. So I'm going to take that old script that we have, delete get clusters. I'm going to delete our Cilium cluster. Then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to use Calico to generate this. So when you're installing Calico, there's 2 ways to install it. There's the tigera operator, and there's so let's go over here. So there's kind of 2 ways to go about installing Calico. There's the tigera operator, and then there's like the raw Calico YAML file, and I'm kind of like I'm like a YAML guy, so I just like to use the raw YAML. But the tigera operator is like really powerful. It does a lot of stuff for you. I just haven't used it much. So while that's installing, though, why don't we take a look at that? So here's a tigera operator, and Casey Davenport, I think, originally built this. And so we can just take a look at this. So what does this work? So, okay, so I don't know if it does have features in it other than just managing Calico, or whether it does other things. Like it's got something for managing logs. It's got something for an API server controller. So if we were to look in here, okay, so they're using Kube Builder for this whole operator thing, and I guess they add their controller API to the Kube API as an API server extension. Have you ever run this? I've never run the operator before.
No, go up. Go to the root directory, operators, API, v1. Yeah. So they have all of those types, which you can use for configure the operator, right? So we can go through like the monitor types maybe and see. So with monitor type, this is.
I went into manager. Let's go into monitor.
Yeah, cool. So the monitor type, apparently with the monitor type, you can create a spec. Go up, Jay. We doesn't define anything, so probably this is a new thing. Right?
Let's see, where are they putting, I always like to look at what's the hot part. So they've got 2 days ago. Let's see. What did they do 2 days ago? Operator changes for process. Okay, let's see what this is. Collect process path. Configuration for enabling, disabling process path and collection in flow logs. And if enabled, this feature sets host PID to true in order to read process command line. Yeah, I can't really tell. This feels meta to me. It feels like this is really managing Calico, and it's not. And that's good. It's great. It's a manager for Calico, but it's not. All the underlying functionalities still lives in Felix and in the Calico controllers. That's what I would guess from this. But this is interesting because what are they doing differently in Amazon Cloud? So Amazon Cloud integration. So I guess all the logic is in, they have like packages for the individual things. So then you'd go to like AWS here. And maybe this is, so the operator does stuff like it'll handle things like, cloud specific credentials for security groups and stuff. So that it can, so they can make like the rules, I guess, on the VMs in terms of like, I don't know, like what ports are open and stuff like that. And this is a thing, right? Like I know in Antrea this is a problem in cluster API that we had to solve, right? Like in Antrea, we have to open up certain ports for OVS to talk through. So maybe that's some of what's going on here. I mean, I'm just kind of guessing. But yeah, okay. So that's the operator. I haven't used it. I just wanted to make sure we at least showed people that it existed and they could go and see. So evidently that's supposed to manage the whole thing for you, but kubectl get pods -a. Now we've got Calico up and running, and we can see, unlike in this other situation, we have core DNS up and running, and we can kubectl get pods -a-o wide. We can see we have cluster local IP addresses for those core DNS pods, right? So let me check the chat. I've been kind of sudo apt-get install recommends Linux generic. Okay, Philip and Alton. Alex Alton, for me, it may be because I was running Win10 on a Hyper-V with Ubuntu 18. Khalid, you tried it on Minikube, not kind. Okay. For the Cillium stuff. If you add 1 second to the end of the GitHub URL, you have an IDE like to navigate. Oh, I didn't know that. Add a 1S. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. Thanks, Francilio. Can't stay. Okay, Martin, thanks for coming to stop in. So I've got IP addresses here. So let's go ahead and kubectl get pods -a. Let's go look at our Calico node, kubectl logs. Now let's look at our logs. So we have our node running here. We should have tried to do is, oh no, we did try to do that. So one interesting thing now looking back on Cillium, right, is that, in Calico and in Antrea, for example, if your controller is down, the CNIs, let me draw a diagram of this. So the CNIs generally have kind of, there's kind of like a controller thing. And then there's like, an agent, and an agent will run on every node, right? And like, so you have your API server over here. And I'm looking to see if that's visible. Yeah, it looks visible. So you have your API server over there, and like, my agents will watch these API server, but and my controller will watch the API server, but then my agents also they'll get network policy information from the controller, right? So I think Calico and Antrea both do this, which is why when you run and Flannel doesn't do this because Flannel doesn't do network policies, I don't think. And it looks like Cillium had that same architecture, but it was interesting because in Cillium, it looks like our core DNS pods didn't come up, but I'm not sure why they didn't come up because it seems like they should have, right? Because the nodes came up. So maybe the nodes in Cillium, maybe it's an issue we should file, right? Maybe the nodes in Cillium should blow up if it's the wrong kernel version, right? Because there's no way that the CNI will work in that case, right? But I don't know. Anyways, in this case, so we could see we've got kube controllers. Now if I do kubectl logs on the nodes, kube system, right? I can see I've got a node here. And this node, now let's look into this. We can see Felix is running here, right? So if you actually look at the calico-node logs, right? So now we're in here inside of this agent, right? We're in here. And if we're looking inside this agent, we see Felix is where all the sort of logic is, right? So summarizing 11 data plane reconciliation groups, blah, blah, blah. So if we do kubectl scale deployment core DNS dash n kube system dash dash replicas equals 5. So if I scale this up, okay, so we're going to see Felix is doing a bunch of stuff. So here's what it does. It does local endpoint updated, ID workload endpoint, calico worker. Okay, so like, let's go look at all this stuff. So now this is where Ricardo can help us dig in, because he implemented a lot of the network policy stuff for, I think, didn't you implement the latest? Not a lot of you implemented the whole network policy feature for port ranges.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Did you have to touch Felix to do that?
No. So Calico have a cool architecture in the sense of they have a data model which is implemented by lib-calico. So if you can open lib-calico there.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Cool. So everything in Calico actually is based on that data model. So Felix doesn't know how to speak Kubernetes, but Felix knows how to speak that data model. Calico was made not to work only on Kubernetes, but also it was they made Calico to work on any environment. So you can put that on a bare metal machine and configure a secure endpoint to protect the SSH from that machine, right? So everything is inside there. So if you go through lib APIs, I guess, yeah. So v3, yeah, cool. So you have a bunch of APIs definitions that Calico uses as its internal data model, right? And they also have that CRD crd.projectcalico.org up. Not APIs. Go back, Jay. Yeah.
Go back down here.
Lib. Yeah. APIs. CRD. Yeah. Cool. So if you open anything, you can see like that all of those objects Calico supports as well as a Kubernetes CRD. So they have implemented this way because past in time Calico only used like etcd as its backend, and now you can use etcd or Kubernetes. But lib-calico implements all of the data model, right? So the thing here is that I didn't change Felix because Felix already knew how to speak port range because lib-calico knew how to speak port range.
So right? You just had to glue it into the new Kubernetes API. Okay.
Exactly. So Kubernetes controller, the kube controllers project, which is up.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. This is the one that's responsible for converting like Kubernetes network policies into Calico network policies. Right?
Oh, okay. Cool. Let me get that in the show notes. Okay, so lib-calico. Okay, so there's kube controllers, and that watches the API server.
Yeah.
And
watches Kubernetes API servers for the network policy objects. Actually, not only network policy, but kube controllers, they have that's endpoint controller, node controller, network policy, and something else that I can't remember. Because if you add like a new node, it needs to know about that new node to add all of the endpoints and all of the routes, right? So this is the one that converts all of the data model from Kubernetes objects into Calico objects.
So let me ask you something. If I have a cluster and I have 4 nodes on it, and then I kill if I kill kube controllers and then add a 5th node, and I scale my kube controllers down to 0, when I add the fifth node, are you saying the Calico agent will not work?
Yeah, you are not gonna get the because I don't know if that changed because they are now using Kubernetes as the data plane, but Felix passed in time, which is that business logic that you say, like the core. Felix didn't spoke with Kubernetes directly, but with etcd. And kube controller was responsible to convert the Kubernetes objects into etcd objects for the Felix model. So you can probably go to the package controllers and you can see like
So we can see them here. Yeah.
Yeah, so you have a namespace and a network policy. Namespace was that one, right?
Namespace controller returns a smaller controller which manages namespace objects.
Yeah. So it converts namespace into some object that I can't remember the name in Cilium, in Calico.
Okay.
Right? And network policy converts the network policy into Calico network policy, for example.
Okay, so let's see.
Yeah.
Let's find our port range example.
So the cool thing is that port range is actually not there.
Oh yeah, it's not. You're right.
Yeah, the port range thing is on lib-calico, actually. But the comment that, like, if you go through there and say, hey, let me take a look, Jay. It's a network policy. Can you see the C line 232?
Okay, 232.
Yeah, exactly. So it gets the network policy from Kubernetes and creates a network policy in Calico using Calico client, right? And who does everything of that is also lib-calico. So lib-calico knows how to deal with that and convert that into the data model from Calico.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. Okay, so lib-calico does all this transformation under the hood for us. So we vendor. So yeah.
Jay, just increase your font again.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we vendor. So I think everything. So if we look at the code base here, we've got lib-calico.go, and I think kube controllers and Felix both vendor lib-calico.go, right?
Everything vendors lib-calico.
Everything vendors lib-calico. So the way the code's architected is, let's go back here, and I think it's something like this. So you've got Felix, and then Calico Felix is a component of Node, I think. And then these depend on lib-calico, which has all of the logic specific to the Calico data model. And then you've got the controllers. You've got the Calico controllers, and you're saying that also is going to vendor lib-calico, right? Yeah. Okay. So and then if we go back to the code base here,
you can try to find inside lib-calico-go the term endport, which is the one used on Kubernetes API for the port range.
Okay. The term endport. Okay, cool. So for folks watching, let's see. So lib-calico.go. If I go in here, let me open a terminal. I'm done with this. How do I open a terminal in GoLand? Here it is down here. I'm used to VS Code nowadays. All right. So if I go in here and I cd lib-calico.go and I get grep for node port.
Endport.
Endport, yeah. Get grep. Endport.
That's a lowercase. Yeah, this works. Yeah.
That works. So if we go, it's in conversion.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So if I go, all right, so lib backend conversion.go. So lib, then I go to backend, and I go to Kubernetes. I think I lost you there, Ricardo.
I've muted myself.
Oh, you muted yourself. Okay. Kubernetes, lib-calico
Conversion.
conversion.go, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I go in here,
So this is where the magic happens, because this is the
Yeah.
place that like they convert namespace to profile, which is the right name, and they convert like the network policy to Calico network policy. So on the top of the file,
Mhm.
you can see like all of the converters. Just go bottom a little bit. Yeah, you have a type
Yeah.
converter interface, right?
Oh, okay. Okay. Parse workload. Okay, so this thing. Okay, so this thing has.
Font again, Jay. Yeah.
Cool.
Every time someone complains about a font, I'm gonna ask Jay to increase. So keep complaining, folks.
I think it gets smaller on. Okay, here we go. Let me see. I'm looking at the side view here.
Yeah, that's much better.
Good. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, just let me know if folks can't see anything. So parse workload endpoint name, namespace to profile is calico workload endpoint is ready, calico pod is scheduled.
So the one that I've changed is that Kate's network policy to Calico, right?
Yeah.
It receives a network policy and converts to the data model of Calico.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. So so I'm gonna, by the way, I'm gonna check out the comments because oh, Casey's here. Wait, I just saw Casey Davenport's actually here. So we can add him. Casey's here. Casey here to save us.
Hey!
guys.
I don't need to.
But I was
I don't
a
need
little
to
bit
make.
late.
I won't make a walkthrough on Calico code anymore. Calico is
No,
a
you guys
Casey
are doing
problem.
great.
So welcome. Casey is here. He's, the Calico guy. And so yeah, so okay, here's our first question we have, Casey. I'm just curious, if I was to scale down a cluster, if I was to add a node but Calico controllers wasn't running, would my CNI, would my Calico CNI still work? Because I kind of thought it did, but Ricardo said it didn't. And I'm just curious. I thought the agent could work without the controller.
Yeah, so the agent will still work without the controller. The controller does do some important stuff, and it's configurable what sort of things it can do, but none of it is. We've been pretty careful to design it so that the controller is not critical path for things like pods coming up and being destroyed, or receiving networking or network policy.
Okay.
So it does stuff like some garbage collection. If you have, for example, like the auto host endpoint feature, the controllers will maintain the state of those host endpoints. Stuff like that, that's sort of asynchronous config that you do want running, but it's not crucial that it has 100% uptime, for example.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, good. Thanks for clarifying that. And so do you want to do you all support XDP also, right? In some form, right? Because someone was asking about Cillium earlier, and I don't know if we can really, I don't know if we don't know enough about Cillium to really go deep into it, but
yeah,
you all
and
support
honestly,
that, right?
neither do I.
Okay.
But,
all right.
Yeah, we have support for certain types of egress rules that are ingress rules, that will be programmed into XTP,
Cool.
and they're just executed real early in the packet processing path. So good for denial of service attack type prevention.
Okay, cool. So you have an XDP that people can turn on, and it doesn't. Everything's not ebpf, but there's an ebpf thing that can do some security stuff for you.
That's right. Yeah. So you can use that in iptables mode, and I think also in the release 3.20, which is what I'm working on right now, and it kept me from being here on time. We'll have that available in both iptables and ebpf mode.
Cool. Okay. Cool.
We've got a question, Jay, on YouTube about Noel about like, so if the controller is down, who is responsible for the ipam? It's done on the node daemonset, the address management.
So ipam is a pretty crucial role, and that's in the critical path and the mainline path. That's all done via the CNI plugin on the host. So the node daemonset does install that plugin, and the controller isn't needed for normal allocation of pods or allocation of pod IPs or releasing of pod IPs. That's all done through the CNI plugin, which is called by your container runtime as pods are created and destroyed. Where the controller does come into play for IPAM is for more long-lived sorts of things. So, if you scale down your cluster and you get rid of a bunch of nodes, there may be some leftover resources that didn't get a chance to be cleaned up. And the controller will eventually take care of this for you.
Okay, so if you have like orphaned IP addresses that the agent didn't clean up, the CNI normally would delete those on its own.
CNI normally would do that. I mean, if you, for example, like tear down a node in an ungraceful way that prevents it from executing the CNI plugin on the running containers.
Okay.
You need a way of knowing that those containers are gone, and the controller is the one that kind of spots that and cleans up.
Okay, cool. So, all right, cool. Okay, so yeah, if I can go into calico-node and I can, so okay, and then there's calico-node and then there's Felix. So does Felix do any of that IPM, or is the code for that all in the calico-node thing? And is that kind of where the Felix and Node are different? Like Felix does the data plane stuff and Node does the Kubernetes stuff, or I don't know.
So Felix is a large part of what the Node repository does. The code is structured this way because Felix can be run as an independent agent, especially for things like OpenStack, for example, whereas calico-node is much more Kubernetes and container centric.
Okay.
But calico-node does import Felix, and it's run inside of that. Felix codebase itself doesn't include any IPAM logic. That's all really done by the CNI plugin.
Okay.
But Node sort of ties those all together into a single packaging. So your node daemonset is including all the goodies that are required for a particular node.
So out of curiosity, what else do people do with Felix that's not Kubernetes other than OpenStack?
Well, nowadays it's primarily Kubernetes, but yeah, OpenStack is one. There's a Mesos integration. I think the CNI plugin also has some support for Mesos.
Okay.
Folks would run on vanilla Docker Swarm clusters. I've had some folks playing with Nomad as well. That we see a ton of, but
cool. Okay, so Felix is like a sort of an independent data plane from Kubernetes. It's just like a raw. Okay.
Yeah, and I mean this is something that you can see in a bunch of places in the Calico architecture, is that we've, while we're sort of Kubernetes first, we take care in some of the interfaces so that if you did want to try and get this running on Nomad, you're not going to hit some roadblock that says, you're not running on Kubernetes, you can't do this.
Yeah, cool. Okay, that's really cool. All right, great. Okay, cool. So like, is there anything, I kind of jumped into the operator code. I think we can jump out. I think we should, like, before we move on, is there anything that you want to tell us about what you all have been working on lately? Or I know you were working on the operator stuff for a while, and I don't know how any of that works. And I told you one time I'm scared of operators. So like, so do you want to tell us a little bit about that or anything else that's new?
Just to be fair, before Casey speaks about that, Jay says that he's afraid of operators, but at the same time he keeps coming to like network policy subgroup telling that we should move everything to operators.
Yeah, you could replace it all with them. Yeah.
Facing your fears.
Yeah. So yeah, tell us about it though. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So the operator is a pretty cool thing. I mean, it started off right when I first got into Kubernetes and networking in Kubernetes. You couldn't even run, for example, a daemon set to install your plugins. It was like go in and change the kubelet args and install some binaries on the host and copy them to the right place. And it was all very manual. And then, we got to this next stage where we started using daemon sets to install and configure a lot of that stuff. Required some changes on the Kubernetes side, but the operator is sort of like the next extension of that in terms of just managing the life cycle of of anything, but in this case, right, Calico is the thing that is managing. So it makes sure that the images that you're installing match the config that it's providing to them is one of its like most simple functions. So we've seen a lot of people who will take, say, the 3.13 manifests, which are configured with certain environment variables and volume mounts and stuff like that, RBAC, etc., and try to run the Calico 3.18 images with them. And of course, that causes problems because the dependencies for those code bases are different as we've introduced.
That's me. I'm the person that did that.
Yeah. And you're not the only one. It's like, it's a problem that, I've had with other applications and with Calico myself. Like it's really hard to keep track of that. So the operator helps a lot with that. It helps with other operational things, right? Like it can auto-detect capabilities on the cluster and scale resources as a result. Can scale up and down your Typha deployment as needed. Lots of other cool stuff like that, where it's sort of automating some of that operational complexity that you shouldn't have to think about.
So it'll look at load and give me more Typha instances and stuff like that if I need to.
Yeah, it can scale that based off of what it sees on the cluster. I think right now it's mostly just based off of the number of nodes because that's a pretty good proxy for.
I saw something about route reflector as well, right?
There's some really cool work in progress. That's not part of the operator, but from Richard Kovacs at IBM that I really owe him a PR review on. But there's some cool work in progress there too.
Okay, that's cool. All right, so okay, thanks. Well, man, I appreciate you showing up, Casey. This is really cool. So we're gonna jump probably, I think. Well, is there anything else you wanted to like go over before we jump and look at Weave or Antrea or other CNIs? Any interesting announcements?
Or something that you remember from Codebase that we forgot? Or
something.
I'm sure there's a lot of that. The most interesting announcement is that Calico 3.20 is coming out very, very soon, like in a matter of hours, if I can do my job correctly. So keep an eye out for that. It's got some cool stuff in it. And I was just working on the release notes before joining this call.
Okay, cool. Well, if you want to link us the release notes, we'll just go over them right before the end of the show. Cool. So 3.20 is on the way. All right. So, and just, I guess you've convinced me now that maybe should start playing more with this operator because, you know, I'll admit, where is it? Yeah, if I go in here, I actually, because I'm so scared of installing the wrong Calico, I manage my own Calico manifests in this directory here. So I guess
Yep.
I guess I have to grow up, right? I can have all my own Calicos. I have 3.12. I have the latest here. You can see I just updated this 16 days ago, and then I pinned it in our Windows dev environments. So this is really a horrible way to do things. Don't be like me, I guess.
Well, that's what we've kind of have had to do historically.
Yeah.
Yeah, this hopefully will make life a lot easier for you.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. All right. So you know what? I guess do I have it in here? No, I was well, we can go back to that later. We kind of already been an hour in and we've only done really like 1.5 CNIs. So let's do what we can do. I guess let's look at Weave, and then after that we can poke around in Antrea. So Weave CNI, I didn't even know it still existed. So like I thought that it wasn't maintained anymore or something, but someone was asking about it. And so my first question is, does anybody out there use Weave? Does anybody out there use Weave? See, okay, I see a lot of questions in here. Here's Friedrich. Friedrich says nice. So, and then Alex, using ebpf to store secrets in enciphered memory pages. Isn't each CNI has its use case? What security features challenge would you think is missing from K8's container security? If so, if control, who's responsible for the ipam? Is it done in a node daemon set? Yeah.
This one is actually a good question, like for KZ also, and
multus.
Probably.
Okay.
No, about the security features challenge, what do you think that's missing from Kubernetes container security, for example? I think that's for all of us, but KZ, you have more property to tell about that.
Maybe, yeah.
What do you think?
I mean,
yeah.
I can't speak more generally. I tend to have my head down in the network a lot. Some of the biggest areas that I see people having trouble with for Kubernetes network security is host networked pods. So being able to enforce some sort of network access control on those. And similarly, services. Kubernetes got a networking model pretty good, but services is an area where people struggle to actually like keep track of what's happening to their traffic, depending on whether it's coming through a node port or a load balancer or cluster IP or the various different techniques. So that's an area that I've been kind of musing on a little bit recently, is how to make protecting services and host protected pods a little bit easier. Or sorry, host networked pods.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm always confused about services in general, in terms of like, well, and then I guess the network policy working group nowadays is really trying to figure that whole thing out. But I haven't been following that. Too bad Abhishek's not here. Abhishek could tell us more about some of the node level security. And what they're trying to do in the API. Well, you all have layer 7 policies in Calico, right? Or do you? I don't know. Can
you? We leverage Envoy for that. So we have an integration with Envoy that will program Calico policies as layer 7 policies, cool. As well as like some match criteria in our policy rules to match on layer 7 things.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. All right. So now let's go. So multus. So I don't know anything about multus. So let's at least So the first thing I'm wondering is, this is not, multus is not its own organization, is it? Or maybe it is, I don't know. So is this K8's network plumbing working group? This is a part of the CNCF, or is this just a working group
Yeah,
that sounds like it's okay?
That's a working group that came out of the Kubernetes networking special interest group a while ago. Specifically, I think their first goal was to tackle this multi-network problem, which had come up a bunch in the SIG at the time.
Oh, okay. So here's an illustration of network. Okay, so NICs attached to a pod. Okay, so you've got two NICs stuck into the pod, and quick start installation for multus requires that you first have a CNI plugin, and then which we refer to as your default network. Each network attachment created by multus will be in addition to this default network interface. Okay, so they want us to, all right, okay, what happens if I do this? So, you ever done this before, Ricardo? I don't know.
No.
All right, let's see
Not
what happens.
We'll do in production if you want.
So, okay, if I clone it and then they're saying I can just run this. So if I cd to multus, and I've already got Calico on this, right? So kubectl get pods -a. I've got Calico running, and we can try to install another CNI. We can try to put, well, Cillium won't work on this, so we can maybe try Antrea. So
Won't?
remember we tried Cillium and it didn't come up?
No, I mean, you've said Calico, right? That Calico is not going to work on this one.
No, Calico works, but Cillium won't work on it. But we can do as a secondary because of that old kernel that I'm running. So okay, so now let's see. I've got. Okay, so I've got. What did it do? It didn't do anything. Daemon set created a daemon set. Oh no, it's there. So okay, I have a multus daemon set. So what's this thing doing? kubectl logs -f this -n kube system. Generating multus config file from host etcd CNI net.d. Okay, so it went into my, so it's running on the host. It's read etc CNI net.d and it's made its own CNI. And I guess it read the Calico configuration that was already on my cluster. And then somehow it used that to generate its own configuration. So I can go and we can go and we can exec kubectl exec. You know, like the delete key on my MacBook is like spongy. So forgive me for that. I'm not like Casey where I have like a Linux laptop for my daily development. Not anymore, at least I used to. Let me see here. Okay, here we go. These newer MacBooks have spongy keyboards sometimes. They wear out faster than the old ones. Okay. So if I go into CD here, okay. So your CNI has like a configuration directory, and then it has like a place where it puts all the binaries. So like you send these arguments to you send them to container D, and I think you send them to the kubelet too, and the kubelet plums them into container D. And so when container D starts a new pod, right, the first thing it does is it goes and it grabs an IP address for that pod by calling CNI Add. And so, normally, I guess the first thing when you're reading through the CNI directory, there's some precedence, and I guess normally it would go through, like in this one, the 00 multus, is it part of the CNI spec that it would try to use the multus conf first, and if the multus conf could hand off behavior to Calico if it decided to or not? Is that the idea?
So I can't remember specifically if it's in the spec or if it's left to the discretion of the runtime, but most runtimes I've encountered, look at these files lexicographically, so whichever one comes first, in this case it would be the 00 multus, and that, I mean, that's why it has the 00 in front of it, is to stick it to the front of that priority list. It will find that one and it will use that one.
Yeah.
So it takes the first one it finds, stops there, and reads that.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, that's what it looks like. So this is kind of now taken precedence over when I normally install Calico. Is it Calico always 10 calico.conf list?
Yeah, that's the default file name
that's the default. Okay.
We'll install there.
So if I was a CNI provider and I didn't want anybody to ever use multus, I would like make my default installation 00, like JUnit 100, and then nobody could subvert my CNI, like using that lexicographic thing.
Well, someone can always add another 0 to the front.
Oh, and then it would be lexicographically less because 0 is less than. Okay, yeah. Okay, so yeah, I guess that wouldn't work then. So CNI. Okay, so this thing then goes and plugins. So it has this Calico plugin, type plugin, and it has the log file path. It has data store. It probably has a path to the binary, right? Or it has a path to the etc CNI. That's what it has. Okay, so oh no, that's not it. So how does it know?
So I think what multus does, and I haven't really read the code in depth or used it much myself, but if you look there, the top level type for this network is multus. So when the runtime calls this, it's going to pass this whole config to the multus binary.
Oh, okay.
And multus is then going to do its thing. In this case, I think we just have Calico installed, so there's only one network that it could use. But in theory, right, you could install 2 or 3 different networks, and you I think multus respects an annotation on the pod that can inform it which networks to attach.
Does it find Calico by the name of the binary, I think? So if I do opt CNI, how is it finding Calico? Because I see that it has type Calico, but I don't see any actual path to the Calico CNI, right?
Yeah, so the runtime will be configured with a path to where the CNI binaries are. And then there'll be a file called Calico and a file called multus in there, which are the executables it'll call. Whatever that path is could vary system to system. It's often in opt CNI bin, but it could be at TGI Kubernetes or any number of places.
Yeah, okay. So it's not in here, but or we don't see it, but it's somewhere in here, and it's not in opt CNI bin.
Put /host/opt.
What if I just do? It's not on the path, is it? No. Okay. Do /hosts. Is that what you said?
Yeah. Host.
Oh, I've never. Okay. Oh,
here you go.
What? Okay.
Hello.
I didn't know about that. Okay. Opt CNI bin. Here it is. So yeah, so this is a thing I do. I remember about. So the CNI actually looks up by name, the binary name. So the type Calico, I think, is referencing that binary file, which is it's always been confusing to me. But like, yeah, that's how you actually find. That's how the CNI spec, I think, that's how you find the CNI that you're calling as you go in there. So right now we're talking about the actual CNI binary. It's important, I guess, to keep in mind that the CNI binary is not the same as this, right? This calico-node thing that's the thing that uses the CNI binary, right? Like it installs it.
I wouldn't say it uses it, but it does install it.
Yeah.
But yeah, calico-node is the long-lived agent that is constantly monitoring for updates, programming policy, routes, keeping the data plane in its correct state. The CNI plugin sits there inactive until the runtime comes and tells it to do something.
Yeah. So that's a separate binary. So could I run the Calico CNI plugin by itself without node?
You absolutely could.
Yeah.
It may or may not give you the results you're looking for, but you definitely could use it to set up networking. I mean, it's got a lot of bells and whistles added onto it, but at its core, it's really just effectively running some IP link commands and other basic Linux commands to set up the VEFs and addresses and all that.
Okay, cool. So all right, so how would I now add? What if I wanted to add Antrea to this? So or any other CNI. So if I was to, this will configure systems to be ready to use multi-CNIs to be started with an additional interfaces of your pods. Refer to our complete quick start guide. Oh, this does not look like a quick start to me. Okay. How do I add a new one? Each configuration we'll add is a CNI configuration. Not familiar with, let's break them down quickly. Here's an example CNI configuration. CNI configuration is a JSON. So storing a configuration as a custom resource. Oh, so wait, I can make a CRD that wait, so if I got so I could install, I guess I could install another CNI, right? I could just install another CNI as is on these nodes, right? There's nothing that says I can't do that. So if I was to, okay, so if I just I have a script in here. So if I local up, if I look, I think the Antrea part is like a one-liner. Yeah, if I just was to grab this, okay, I can do that. If I push D into Antrea, I don't know. I don't remember how this works. It's a script that comes in Antrea, and it's because Antrea needs Open vSwitch. And I don't know what this is going to do because I assume that there's a cluster name, kind get cluster. So if I think we're doing something kind of strange here. We're trying to, okay, so the name of the cluster is Calico. This script is an Antrea script. And as I recall, it installs Antrea on a cluster. So, but if I just set this to Calico, will that work? Unknown option Calico, if I do this. Oh, I can't do that. I can't use this script to install Antrea directly on here. I would have to go and do some Open vSwitch stuff. And then after I did my Open vSwitch stuff, then I could go and install it. But so I may not be able to do, but who knows? We could try. What's a really dead simple CNI that I could try to install easily?
Flannel.
Flannel? Not that flannel.
No.
Okay, so if I was to grab flannel, yeah, here we go. So if I install the flannel daemon set here. Okay, now kubectl get pods -a. Okay, so let's wait for this to come up. All right, so we got flannel. So now I've got two CNIs. So if I go back in this node, should be able to see I've got flannel, right? So now I've got this flannel binary. And then if I ls what's in, if I list what's in here, yeah, I've got 10. Okay.
Do a cat in 00 multus, Jay.
You want to look at that one again? Okay.
Yeah.
So now I'm not sure, but I assume that I could edit this file. I don't know if I'm going to try this, but I'm assuming that what you would do next is, because we're kind of low on time, we're kind of getting close to the end of the show here, but like, I think the thing to do now would be to edit this file and then add the JSON here for whatever's in this Etsy flannel thing or something.
Shouldn't multus do that?
I think they're saying you do it through a CRD, right? So I think they're saying that I think what they're saying here is you could add because this is a CNI, C10, cat 10 flannel conflist, right? That's a CNI specification. And they're saying that you can literally just cat that as a network attachment definition. And then I guess multus would, okay, let's try it. I don't know. Since it's such a big deal to you, Ricardo, we're just going to do it. Let's see here. Okay. So if I cat that, oh gosh, I shouldn't have. All right, so if I cat the flannel thing, and then I pipe it into kubectl create -f. Oh, wait, I'm in a container. So I have to get out of this container and do it up here. All right, so let me, okay, go down here, cat 10. Okay, there we go. So I catted it, and now I'm going to copy that JSON, vim, we'll call it ricardo.json. Okay. Set paste. Okay, so I'm going to cat ricardo.json kubectl create -f. So this is going to take the existing flannel configuration that's already in my cluster, and it's going to try to pipe it into.
I think you need to add that into the CRD. Go back to the documentation.
Yeah, I got to get this stuff.
Yeah.
Vim, Ricardo. What am I? Okay, here we go. I think I got to nest this somehow, right? So I got to do this, and then this JSON needs to be like nested inside of a config thing like that, right?
Yeah, that's a metadata.
This is hard when you have like a mushy key. You don't know how hard this is for me. Okay, so. Okay,
sorry,
here we
Casey.
go. All right, here we go.
We are delaying Calico.
He wants to get the release out.
Yeah.
He wants to release Calico 3.20. We screwed up his Friday. Okay, so unknown field config. If you choose to ignore it. Okay. What did I do?
Just copy and paste that one, Jay. The YAML example.
How much more can I copy and paste? Like
copy paste everything there and
just see if the whole thing works. Okay, fine.
Yeah, exactly. It's not gonna work because I don't think you have Matt VLAN CNI, but.
Oh, okay, great. So we have two CNIs. Okay, so all right. So I guess theoretically we have multus up and running, and we could go in here and we could edit that. We could kubectl get CRDs. You could kubectl edit network attachment definitions here, right? We could jump in here and we could modify this. I'll just see if it's smart enough to fix this. So what if I just fix this one part? Will it update that in the
Flannel?
Cat 00, did it update it? Oh yeah, I meant to do flannel. So let's see here. Flannel. That's just whatever. Be easy to see it this way. Okay, so we updated it in the CRD. And I don't think it updated the file though.
I don't think it necessarily needs to update the file.
It doesn't. Okay.
Because I'm guessing that it can query these things dynamically as the plugin's called. I think I may just do a reach out to the API for it.
Okay, and then you would just, because you just added as an annotation, so I would just add this somehow as an annotation in my pod, right? So, so then I could create a pod like this. Okay. And then this would now use that weird thing that I.
Yeah.
Of course, folks, we don't actually expect this to work for a variety of reasons. We're just going to just try one last thing. So if I was to. Where is it?
It's on the CRD that you edited outside the container.
Yeah.
You are editing the CRD, Jay, not the object.
There it is. Let me grab it. Edit network attachment C. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did we call this thing? Yeah, that's it.
Here we go.
So super easy to see it.
But I think that there you put the name of the object, right? Or that's the name of the in the annotation, or that's the type.
Well, okay, we're gonna find out. I don't know. I mean, I don't expect this to work, but I guess what will be interesting is what error we get, right?
Yeah.
Like, does it go so far as to try to? So, anyways, but I guess for folks interested in multus, this is okay. Cannot find a network. So we screwed up our network attachment definition. That's fine, but it went far. It went far enough to try to launch a pod with the new network attachment definition. And we added a network type attachment definition. And if you had a free afternoon, you'd probably be able to then spin up pods with different CNIs using this whole thing. So I guess shout out to the multus folks for making a decent quick start guide that allowed us to almost make 2 pods with 2 different CNIs without having ever used it before. So cool. I mean, I guess I'll just do a quick one since we went through Calico. I'll go a little bit through Antrea, and then we can close up. So the Antrea code base is you go into PKG, and we've already talked. Casey gave us a good introduction to this, and so Antrea has borrowed some concepts from Calico for sure, and from other CNIs, and was made a little later in the game. So it's kind of taken advantage of some of that. It has, but it does. It has a. It is Kubernetes like specific, so you don't. It's just only for Kubernetes, but like, so it has an agent as well, and that agent has just as we saw like with the Calico stuff earlier, that there's these controllers, and then there's the node. We can kind of see in Antrea, you've got the same thing. You've got the Linux agent. And you have another agent, and it has a Windows agent. And actually, in if we go back again to Calico, it's the same. I think it's the node. Calico-node has a Windows mode, and I promised we'd go through some of the Windows stuff, but we've kind of ran out of time. But ultimately, like on Calico, if you install it as a CNI, it just puts this in your C:\Calico Windows directory, and then that from there you have like PowerShell scripts that spin up the Calico node as a host process, And something similar happens on the Antrea side. We have PowerShell wrappers that run Antrea agent.exe, and both of these work on Windows with both what's it called, Containerd or Docker. And for Calico, if you're going to configure the Windows side, you do it all in this config.ps1 script. And the Antrea agent, the configuration is all in like a file. It's like a YAML file. I think it's a YAML file, yeah, that you put on the host. And so I think, I think so. So that's your agent, and then your agent, your Antrea has an agent, and it has a API server thing that sort of extends the Kubernetes API server. It has its own custom network policies and all that stuff, similar to how, since we have a running Calico cluster, we can see the same thing, right? kubectl get CRDs. We can see that we have our own Calico network policy CRD, right? And so you can look at that CRD and how it's structured, right? Anyways, it's probably too in depth for us to go into right now. But yeah, so we have a similar thing. We extend the API server for Kubernetes for Antrea, and there's a package for that. So we could see a lot of similarities between how like both of those CNIs are sort of done. So I think I'm going to let everybody. This is like we're into our second hour here, so I think we've gone through enough stuff that you'll have plenty of homework to do. So like ping us. We're easy to find. We're all hanging out in Kubernetes upstream Slack, the three of us, if you're interested in any of this stuff. And Casey Davenport is here from Tigera. So thank you so much, Casey, for coming. And of course, me and Ricardo over here at VMware. And thanks everyone for hanging out. Thanks for everybody for, multus, Khalid, is harder than I didn't think it was that bad, Khalid. I mean, I don't know anything about multus, and I don't know. I thought we almost got it working. So I'll look over the questions before we go. Some CNI installation allow you to change the name of the file it creates in CINetD. Yeah, that's all configurable. So thanks, Noel and Khalid and Alex and everybody else for participating and adding so many interesting questions, right? Because this has gone a totally different direction than where we initially thought it would go. And so, okay, cool. That's it. Any final words, Ricardo or Casey, before we say bye to all of our friends here on TGIK? Hit like and subscribe.
Yeah. I have this nice shirt. If someone wants one, just ping Casey on. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Not sure if we have any more of those.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
I love my Calico t-shirt.
Me too.
I have one from both. I have an Antrea one and a Calico one, but I kind of like the cat on the Calico.
I just have the Calico one. I never got my Antrea one.
Yeah.
Thank you, Casey.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Cool.
It was fun.
All right. We'll see y'all later, and thanks for coming to TGIK and hanging out with us.
Bye.